Hello VC. I know everyone is not alright, and that's a shame. That is a shame. I'm not alright, and even if I planned to do this video ages ago, I knew I was gonna do it. I had no idea I was gonna do this today in the current context. I've been reading some disturbing stuff in the VC in the past 24 hours. I was very surprised. Don't worry, this is not too controversial, or maybe it is, but there's stuff happening in the world right now that is pretty obvious. There's not that many takes to have on this. And I've been reading so much gaslighting about it and logical fallacies. I know the word occupation seems very polite when you're talking about a war. And as much as everyone has a right to live, I wish we would be more honest about our vocabulary. And even if I wish no one ill, sometimes it's good to live in reality. Someone who maybe didn't live exactly in reality, but was, you might disagree strongly with him, but his dedication is really inspiring. I'm talking about Bryn Jones, Muslimgauze, a musician from Manchester who died in 1999. He was I think he was 37 years old, but he already had a discography of almost 100 records. And he started out in the early industrial scene in the UK. And his first project was called EG_Graph. It's interesting, especially considering what happened afterwards, but musically, in my opinion, it's not highly inspiring. I wouldn't say it's run-of-the-mill industrial noise collage, but it's certainly not the most personal take on the genre. He soon went on with his next project, Muslimgauze, in 1983. I believe this might be the first incarnation, the compilation, the Elephant Table album, a compilation of difficult music compiled by Dave Henderson, sleeved by Steve Stapleton. Nurse with Wound, always a connection, huh, Mazzy? So Dave Henderson, he writes, when I was asked by Extract to compile some kind of audio catalog of my original sounds, the magazine Wild Planet feature, I was really spoiled for choice. There is so much good stuff around that is either difficult to track down or done in such limited quantities. The 21 tracks contained are a good starting point. The styles vary immensely, which is right. But the ethic of experimentation in number of formats is well in evidence. All of the groups are British and have releases otherwise available. Addresses are included for further contact, which in my experience has been extremely rewarding. If you dig a little deeper, you'll be amazed at what you uncover. That was 1983. You have the legendary Pink Dots, 400 Blows, Portion Control, Chris and Cozy, Coil, Nurse with Wound, SPK, Nocturnal Emissions, Lustmord, who now writes Hollywood music, Bushido, Muslimgauze. So I think one of the very first Muslimgauze record is this album, Kabul. So of course As you can hear, there's a Middle East theme, but more precisely, there's an anti-imperialism theme, which actually really meshed around the liberation movement of Palestine. How did this Manchester guy who lived in his parents, who was doing all the music in secret in their garage, manically, he was like recording an album a week, so much so that when he died, since he died, there's about 120 unreleased albums which have resurfaced, plus tons of other projects and reissues. But his music, of course, is by nature controversial, not necessarily in the music itself, because apart from the aesthetic qualities, which is what drew me to it, how could he have a political message when most of his music is instrumental or with atmospheric samples, found noises and vocals? Well, it would be through the titles and the artwork. So, Free Palestine, Vote Hezbollah, Hebron Massacre, Black September, and lots. Back then in the early 90s, CDs, I got like maybe 60 CDs from him. No, at least 40. And Occupied Territories, this one, Betrayal, Aren, City of Jinn, not all the, United States of Islam, Citadel, Fakir Sind, Mullah Said, which is what we're listening to right now. My favorite Muslimgauze record, this one, which came out in 98, limited, like 1,000 copies back then, and reissued a couple of years ago on vinyl, double vinyl. This is a must-have. This is one of my absolute favorite records ever. But there's so much controversy about him but yet the editions were so small that it was always under the radar. It was always in the underground until he achieved cult status. Also maybe with his death. But not only that, these records on the Australian label Extreme had a very different ethics than the ones on his main other labels, which are the German Staalplaat and the American counterpart Soleil Moon. Most of these recordings are electronic based. Most of these recordings are acoustic, played with musicians that the boss of the label from Australia hired. They were like sessions. I believe he told me it was in Holland they took place. And in his opinion, a lot of the extreme partisanship or messaging for Palestine against Israel was kind of marketing from the labels. Bryn Jones didn't have all control over it, especially after he died. Who knows what the truth is? A few years ago there was a huge box set reissuing the first 7 albums of Muslimgauze, including the one I showed you, including this one and a few others. And this one that I didn't have the original, but the box set was also released in 7 separate or 8 separate releases, I think, plus a huge book biography. But the thing is that this biography, I haven't read it, but all the online biographies I read nowadays are after this book, and I seem to find some contradictions with some stuff I heard from first-hand collaborators of Muslimgauze from back when he was alive. So I can't say I know the truth. I can't say that where the truth is. I know that when he was still alive and we were all obsessed with him, the cult, the ones who had the Muslimgauze, because he was releasing so often in all formats. I remember, yeah, you could subscribe to him, send him, I believe it was £120, which would give you credit to every single release of his up until the credit was exhausted. Sometimes you would get a cassette, a mini disc, a DAT tape, 3 CDs packaged between 2 ping pong rackets. So it was very, very fun to collect, especially if you like the music, obviously. But was he really proactive with all this this militantism? I don't know. I remember hearing that he was like giving some of the proceeds of his releases to the Hamas. Maybe it's true. Honestly, I don't think so. And if he did it from a good place in his heart, however right or wrong you might believe the end result is. And I understand that people might be shocked by that and by hearing me say that. But Bryn Jones was a musician, and he made his career, he made a part of his career and art a mission to bring awareness to what was happening in Palestine, and that is still happening to a level that no one wishes for. I hope so. And I must confess that even if growing up in France with a much more neutral perception of this conflict, we didn't see Yasser Arafat only as a terrorist in France. We saw him as a political actor who was doing terror acts, but who was also resistant. I'm not saying that's the right way to see things, but this view existed, and Muslimgauze, Bryn Jones managed to make his art a reflection of this point of view, which can be disputed, but is needed if you want to have an honest discussion. To be honest, the music for me is interesting enough aesthetically, thematically, so that you don't need to enjoy it. You don't need the political messaging, but it's there, and it's another layer. And I have strong political beliefs, and I can definitely and enjoy reading the opposite side of my own belief. I don't think it's possible to have an interesting and relevant discussion if you don't at least try to understand the opposite point of view, and even to a certain degree try to picture yourself embracing it, what it would mean. When I think of Muslimgauze and when I see the artwork, of course I'm constantly reminded of this. But with the music, I think I'm constantly reminded of a pathway to non-Western music. Even if the technology used to produce this music and the patterns are definitely from the Western world, I'm really I'm pretty sure that Muslimgauze was a gateway for me to embrace and discover what we lazily called world music. But for example, a record such as this one, which is such an amazing package, 6 LP set, The World of Islam. Nothing religious about this. This is just a fact. This music was made in the context of Islam, the various places in the world. This is amazing because you will have like a map describing where this track was recorded and where this kind of music is traditional from. And like now I'm talking Islam, but it could be just about anything, any kind of non-Western tradition. And I think this is something that every music lover should, at least at one point in their investigation of the musical world, give a chance, give themselves a chance to that, so that suddenly it's, I mean, isn't it fun when you get records like that? It's fun and educational, and more than anything, ear opening. That doesn't mean that all these records are good or will please you, but how would you give yourself a chance if you don't try? And for me, Muslimgauze, for this album that is fantastic, with the VC, so I'm showing vinyl records. Kabul, one of his earliest ones, Hunting Out with an Aerial Eye. Really, really strong artwork. This one, I believe, is called Marseille. Like this is from 98, and sounds like dubstep from 10 years later, but even much better produced. So yeah, Coup d'État. So he is also critical. It's not just Muslimgauze was not Muslim, even if there's been rumors that he was converted at one point. It was more an artistic project, but yeah, we talked about that. This is an interesting record. It's Muslimgauze AP, which is a Swedish producers doing reworks of Muslimgauze, and it's pretty good, pretty good. Oh, this one is amazing. Nadir of Poudra, really great artwork. You see long tracks often. This one is a recent reissue of something that was only on CD, Gun Americ Part 2. This one is one of the last greatest originals from back then, I believe. Yeah, the Unfinished Mosque, really, really good. This is an album from Uzi, one of the early stuff. This one is really good also. Eye for an Eye, also pretty dramatic artwork. And this is a recent reissue also called Salam Aleikum Bastard. Really strong artwork. And let's put, to finish, one of my favorites. 7-inch. Yeah, the first one we were listening to is a 7-inch. Yeah, this one I got doubles, and as you have maybe caught in other streams of mine. Yeah, this one we're listening to is called Syntactic EP from 96. Very limited as well, like 100 copies. This is collaborations between Muslimgauze and Rootsman, a British dub artist. He did quite a few records with him, Out of Darkness. Cobra Head Swoop is late Muslimgauze, pretty rhythmic noise, not my favorite one at all. Interesting, but And this is a collaboration with Sons of Orca, the ethno dub band. Really, really, really essential. Really, really good. Probably still available. It's been reissued many times. And yes, so that was a quick intro to Muslimgauze. Quick, everything is relative. I don't have everything from his. Far from that. There's lots of records of his now on vinyl, which was not the case during his life. But I actually got I think I got everything I want to have on vinyl. There's a few records on CD that I wish existed on vinyl, but if this by any chance caught your interest, your attention, and you want to investigate, be aware that even when you're a fan of Muslimgauze, you don't need to own everything. There's too much already. I mean, it could be fun, but he has different styles. He has these like ambient, atmospherical with rhythm, sometimes without rhythm. Then he has like rhythmic noise, harsh. He has also cut-ups, like very digital. Music also way more on the industrial dub side of things. And I'm just not a fan of it all. I much prefer what we're listening to right now, which has kind of a psychedelic aspect to it, quality. And but you do you like what you want. I'm just finishing with saying that like Muslimgauze is highly influential in the sense that like even more so now, there's bands like Vatican Shadow, who basically made a career of almost trying to do new Muslimgauze or Muslimgauze light. Then there's Shackleton's early stuff on Skull Disco. Yeah, this label is great. Shackleton is also a British guy, I think from Bristol. Also interested in dub, rhythm, and the Middle East. Obviously a big fan of Muslimgauze, but he managed to make it his own thing. And there's no political messaging, at least not in that sense. There might be a kind of Workers United message in his music, barely so, but yeah, there's a huge legacy of Muslimgauze in the sense that nowadays every month or so you will get a Muslimgauze reissue. So if you're late to the party, it's not the worst time to get into this. And I guess most of these records are probably available digitally on Bandcamp to at least check, listen to see if you can find your own path within this vast and impossible discography. But yes, so even if I know this is our hard times, I hope you guys are well, that you have empathy, and that you will be inclined to embark on the journey, on the Muslimgauze journey, despite, or because, or notwithstanding one aspect of his music that is not necessarily related to the music. There you go. Have a great evening.